Alright, welcome to the video for Learning Target 2 and 3 for Chapter 12. We talked about this today, Thursday, and kind of started to go into it. We already did Learning Target 1. We'll recap that real quick here. I have all the notes here in case you didn't get them. But basically we were going over what a prism was, and it was an object being stretched, one base shape being stretched. Okay, you guys all were really good with this. We talked about the side, the edges, and the vertices. All very basic. You guys all did really, really well with it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about prisms. We're not doing cylinders in this chapter. I just put them in here just so you could see them, but we are not doing cylinders. This is all about prisms and some pyramids, as you will see. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip to the next page, which looks like this. It's the learning target number 2. I can draw a net of a 3D figure of any prism or pyramid. Okay, so these are already done for you, so you don't have to do anything. All I want you to do is I want you to watch. Okay, I just want you to watch because they're already done here. Now I just want you to know there's several ways that you can make a net. I mean, it just kind of it's all about how your mind makes it. Okay, now I told you this today in class, but I want you to know that I give these names. I call that the front. I then call that the back. Okay. I refer to this right here as the right side. I refer to this side over here obviously as the left side. And then of course this would be the top. And then underneath here would be the bottom, forming 6 sides. Okay. Now when this is a cube, any of these could really be the base shape. You look at any square on here and it's being stretched down to the opposite side. Okay. So that's exactly what I would call them that. You could call them something different as far as right side, left side, top, bottom, front, back. But this is how basically I'm going to have you do it. So what we're going to do, since these are already done for us, we're just going to recognize how they went about making this net, how it went from this to this is what we're going to really do today. Okay. Now we're looking at the way they did it. So I know a lot of you guys all have different ways of folding it. I mean, you can think of several different ways that you could unfold this thing. I mean, you could flip the right side and the left side down, down, and down, and then fold it this way, or with the top, the back, and the front kind of folding over this way or that way. There's just a lot of different ways you can do it, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to think like this guy right here is thinking. Okay, this is what he came up with. All right, so how did they do it? Well, you can see, what did they flop down here? I would call this the front, and please write this on there. Okay, that's the front, right? See how they took this front right here and they just kind of flopped it straight down right there? That's what we're looking for. So if they did it there, then they obviously took the back and they flopped that down as well. Now be careful just putting first letters, because I mean everything's fine. When you just put F or T, that's fine, but we have 2 that start with letter B. So I always like to actually write those, or maybe you put BA or something like that, or BOT or something, just to kind of help you know that you're talking about the back. So that's what they did here, is they took this and they folded it down this way and then the back down. Okay? So it's flat. Now, what would this be? Well, what I always say is, what is the back and the front? What are they connected to? Well, they're connected to the bottom, right? Okay, so then think about how this thing would construct. Imagine taking this thing and folding it up in your head. And what I mean by that is, imagine this side right here. You would take that thing and you would fold it up. You'd fold this up, fold this up, fold this and then this up. So that should help you to kind of visualize exactly what's what here. So what would this be? If this is the bottom, right there, the bottom's underneath there, what would flop to the left? Hopefully you're saying the left side. Okay. Now let's look and let's say, okay, what's going to be right next to the bottom? Because obviously the top and the right side, they're both going to flop down here this way. Okay, that's what one of these is top, one of them is right side. So which one would be attached to the bottom? Okay, and it would be the right side, and then the top would be the last one to flop over. Okay, and there's your net of your cube right there. We just did it. It's not the only way you could do it, but this is just one of the ways. I mean, remember today we did something and it looked like this right here. If I could do it, it looked like this. We brought it over and then it kind of looked like a T, remember? And basically it was like, it's not drawn very well, but you guys get the picture. Okay, so in this one I took the left side, this was the left side, and this was the right side, this was the bottom, and then I guess I need one more here, and then this became the front, this became the top, and this became the back. That's just another way to unfold it. So there's just, the point is there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Okay, let's go down and look at this one. More than one net may form. Sorry about that. Okay, so more than one net may form the same solid figure. So we saw that today on that video we watched. I mean, you can have different nets. It just depends on how you flatten it out. It really doesn't matter how you flatten it out. It's just, you have to be able to do it. So this is another net of a cube. Now this one I think is really weird. Now take a minute and see if you could figure out how to form the cube again. Okay? Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to look at my cube. That way I can refer to the right side, the left side. Okay? Now, the first thing I saw is I kind of tried to imagine everything, and again, you know, it's hard to really teach this without really showing you, so it's kind of a difficult thing to show on a video. Okay? So we'll talk more about it in class, but you can see that this right here, I would call this the top, and I'm going to explain how here in a minute. Okay, I would call this the right side. Okay, I'm going to call this the bottom. Wait, hang on a second. That's not what I wanted. Never mind. Alright, so I had to pause here for a second because I had to think about it, to be honest. I mean, sometimes these, you know, they can get just very, very difficult to like try to like visualize. I mean, because I think there's obviously more than one way to do it. So it's kind of like the way your mind allows it, makes it happen is how it's going to happen. I mean, that's what makes it tricky, to be very honest with you. So I went ahead and I put some on here because I think I got it figured out, I hope. But it's hard to think of it this way because, again, there's more than one way to do it. It just all depends on how you visualize it. Okay, what my visualization was, how I thought about it, and try to think with me because this is challenging, is I'm going to take the front and I'm going to flop it down. Okay, just like we did. So this right here is making up the front square. Okay, well, if you flop that down, okay, let's hope that's the last announcement. Okay, the front gets flopped down. Well, the front's still attached to the bottom, so that's going to be the next one there. So then imagine reaching your hand over on this underneath the left side, and we're going to unfold it this way. Okay, but the difference here is what makes this harder than like this one was easy because we just flopped the front and the back down, is the back here is going to stay connected right there to that left side. And that's really, really hard to visualize. And if you guys can't, I don't blame you because it's hard. And then you're going to unfold it just like we did here. But the difference is on that left side you're going to have the back attached to it, and that's where it's going to unfold. You can see the bottom is the bottom. So as this thing unfolds to the right, this thing's turning into a mess up here. Let me get rid of it. It's going to have the right side connected to the bottom, and then the top obviously be next, and then the left side. And then remember, we connected the back to the left side right there. Okay, so that just another way to do a net. Okay, and there's many ways to do it. I personally think this is the hardest of all of them. I think it's much easier when you just take, okay, I'm going to take the base shape, the right side and the left side, and flop them down. I'm going to take the top and the bottom and flop them down. If that really doesn't make sense, but you guys get the point. These are the easy ones when you just flop them down. Now whether you flop them down here on the top or the bottom or in the third row or the fourth row, it doesn't matter. It just that's what is the easiest way to do it. Okay, all right. Recognizing the net of a rectangular prism. The first thing you want to do is you always want to count how many faces there are, how many surfaces. And here you can see I'm counting 6. So right away you know that this is a rectangular prism. Okay, and then it says it can be cut along the blue edges and flattened as shown. You can see they took scissors and they basically cut it up and then flattened it out. So pretty easy there. You guys would all be able to do that one, I think. That's not the problem. The problem is more the when you're doing it the other ways. Okay, here's a triangular prism now. Okay, again, you know, just the triangle here is being stretched, Okay, what you're going to do, or how they did it here, is they flop down the front and the back triangle. Okay, again, in a triangular prism, I would call this the front, I would call this the back, I would call this the right side, I would call this the left side over here, and I'd call this the bottom. That we know it only has 5 sides. So what they did is they took the triangles and they flopped them down. There we go. There's my front. There's my back. And then the front and the back is connected right there to the bottom. And then the left side is going to flop down this way, and then the right side is going to flop down to the right. So left side, right side. Pretty easy there. Okay, and this is like the one we just did on the previous page, where this is actually going to, the base shape, the triangle, is actually going to stay connected to one of those sides and go with it. So again, these, according to me anyway, maybe you guys have different feelings, because some of you were amazing me today with your ability to do this in your head. I mean, that's incredible that some of you can do this. It's awesome. Okay, personally, I think that most of us in here, if we were asked to do this, we would do it like this. But yes, you can do it this way also. Let's go to the next page. Okay, a pyramid. Okay, what a pyramid is. A pyramid is any shape, okay, a base shape. In this case, it is assuming a rectangle, doesn't say square, so this is a rectangle right here. Okay, and the difference between a pyramid and a prism, remember, is a prism, if you had a rectangle here, you would have another rectangle here, and it'd be stretching to get that, right? That's a rectangular prism. That's what a prism is. Whereas a rectangular pyramid, or a square pyramid, as I guess I should call it, the right thing, is it's going to go from every vertice of that square, and then it's going to connect up at another spot up there. Okay, the pyramid has one base that is a polygon. Okay, the other faces are triangles that meet at a common vertex. They all meet at the same place. The solid shown below is a square pyramid. Obviously, they are telling me it's a square, so I know that all 4 of these sides are the same. If it has a square face called the base and 4 faces that are congruent, isosceles triangles. Okay? And obviously, just like the prisms, a pyramid is named by the shape of its base. So if the base is a triangle, then it, like this one down here we're going to get to in a minute, that's a triangular pyramid. Just like the one on the previous page here, that's a triangular prism. It's all about the base shape. That's what it's all about. This is the net of that. Okay? A little bit harder here, but again, just imagine, and this is one where, you know, on Monday next week, we're going to be cutting some of these out, I think, and just kind of, you know, because it's easy when you've got the paper in front of you, you can actually fold them up. It's really easy to see, and we're going to do that because I think that's really going to help us all, including me. Okay, but basically you can see there's my square base. Okay, that's why they put it in whatever color that is, and then they put it in that color. And what they did is they took these triangles and they kind of like peeled it like a banana, kind of. They kind of took it like a banana and they just put it right down. So again, you could give these names too. You could call this the bottom or the base. You could call this the front. You could call this the right side. You could call this the left side. And then this back one, you could just call it the back, or you could call it the back side, whatever you want to call it. Okay, just call it whatever, but it's the same deal. So then you know if this front got flopped down, it would be right there. This would be my left side, this would be my right side, and this would be my back side. Okay? Triangular pyramids, which personally I think are tougher to see. I think the square pyramid, just like a cube or a square, or I mean a rectangular prism, those are easy to see, I think. I think this, you guys can all look right at that, and you can imagine taking those, grabbing them right there where I'm putting those red dots, and just folding them straight up to a vertex. And you guys can visualize that. I really think you can, which is good. And then it would get that, obviously. The triangular pyramid, a little bit more of a challenge. Okay, but it's the same thing. You can see here's your triangle. I'll kind of outline it because they didn't really do a very good job of outlining it in a different color. But you can see right there's my base shape. Right there's my base shape. And what they did is they took those 3 triangles, and we could call this a left side triangle, a right side, then we could have a back side back there. Okay? All right, and then you look and you say, okay, well, what would be what? Well, it doesn't really matter what you call it. If I want to call this the front, call it the front. Well, I guess I didn't call one the front. I guess I called it the left side or the right side. left side. You can call this one the right side. You can call this one the back side. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. And again, imagine taking, if there were little things to grab right here, if we could really grab this, and we will on Monday, if you could grab them and just peel them up and put them right to there, it would look just like that. Which is why a pyramid, if you were to look down on it, this is exactly how it looks as you look down on it. Okay? This triangular pyramid has an equilateral triangle for the base. Remember, an equilateral triangle is a triangle that has all the sides the same length and all the angles are the exact same. Okay? Okay, practice drawing the nets. Now, obviously, I'm not an artist, I'm not an artist, so I don't expect any of you to be these great artists. Okay, so it says draw the net of the following figure. Now, I can look at that and I can see, okay, first thing I identify is what's the base shape. Okay, that looks like a square, but we do not ever assume anything's a square. We know the base is a rectangle, so we're going to write that. The base shape is a rectangle. Okay? Now, my next question that I'm going to ask myself is I'm going to say, okay, am I stretching that rectangle base to... Alright, sorry about that. Another distraction, another disruption at the door. Okay, so I asked myself, is it being stretched? No. I can see that all my vertices of my base are meeting at a common vertex right there. So I know right away this is a rectangular pyramid. And to spell pyramid, by the way, I always remember it for some reason. I remember it as pyramid. That's how I always think of it in my head, because it really isn't spelled the way it sounds. I mean, pyramid, that doesn't look like pier at all. So pyramid, that's kind of how I always remember how to spell it. So let's talk about drawing the net now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the rectangle. Okay, there's my rectangle. Okay, good enough. Now I'm going to imagine there are 4 triangles here. I have BAE, AED, BAD, and CAB. Do you guys see what I'm talking about there? I got this triangle right here. Maybe you call that whatever you want to call it. Call it left side, that's fine. Okay, now let's go ahead and do this one right here. We'll call this one, doesn't really matter what we call it, but we'll call it right side, I guess, for now. We'll go back here. You can barely see this one, but it is a triangle. It's just you can't really show it. We can call that backside. Maybe backside 1 or something, backside A. Okay, and then one more here. Again, going to be very difficult to see because these are the back sides. We'll call this backside 2. Okay, so what do we got to do here? Well, we're going to take those triangles and we are going to rotate this a little bit the way they got it. It's kind of like that. And then we're just going to flip them down. Triangle, bang, triangle, triangle. Oh shoot, my pen. Okay, and obviously all these triangles should be the exact same. Obviously we're drawing them, so it won't be, but you can see this is your base shape. This would be your left side, your right side, your back side 1, your back side 2. Okay, that's exactly how it works. All right. Let's try number 3 on your own. Go ahead and do it, however you want to do it. Okay, so we start with our base shape. Okay. My base shape, I'm gonna call my base shape the bottom. So I have my bottom, I have my top, I have my right side, I have my left side over here, I have my back, and I have my front. Okay? I'm gonna call this the bottom. And what I'm gonna do first of all is I'm gonna take this right side and this left side, and I'm gonna flop them down. Flop them right down. Left side, right side. Okay. Now I'm going to take my back, which I'll do in black back here. The back, and I'm just going to push it backwards. So it flops back that way. Back. Alright. Now, I'm going to take from right here, my top, I'm going to grab it right here, and I'm going to pull it this way. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to see, because it's connected here, is I'm going to see what side, do we know? I'm not going to see the top, I'm going to see the front. And next, I would finally see the top. Okay. Now, you might have done it differently. Talk to me tomorrow about it if you had a different way than me. Okay. Okay, this one here, I'm gonna first of all, I know that this is a triangular prism, but you know the first thing we want to do is we want to just look at it and go, okay, I'm gonna just draw the base, I don't want to say the base because that's not right, but the base shape. Okay, the base shape here is a triangle, as you guys can see, right? It's a triangular prism, so we know the base shape is our triangle. So I'm gonna just outline those in green. Now, you can do this however you want. I mean, you can think of it a lot of different ways. It just depends on how you're thinking. For me, I always just draw the rectangle first, that's connected to the two triangles. So in this case, I'd be talking about the rectangle that would be labeled B right there, F, DC. You guys see that? Does that help for you to picture it a little bit? Okay, that at least lets you see it. Now, I'm going to take those triangles and I'm going to flop one down to the left. I'm going to flop one down to the right. Okay. Now I'm going to kick this front right here. I'm going to push it down. So that would be my front. This would be my bottom. Be left side, right side. And then the back, I'm going to push it down. My pen would work. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing. But again, there's a lot of different ways to do it. We're going to practice this, though. It takes a lot of practice. Okay, now let's just recognize some things here. Okay, I can identify the net of a figure. Okay, I look at this. B's already given for this. What looks like it could be a cube, but we never assume it's a rectangular prism. B's given. Could this one be a cube? No. Because you can see there are different sizes. Those aren't squares, first of all. But secondly, there are different sizes. If you're unfolding something that even looks like a cube, all these better look like a cube. Okay? So I know B is definitely, it's already there. So we can put B here if you want to, even though it's already there. On these, the first thing I notice, I see two triangles. Is there a triangle ever in a rectangular prism? Or a cube? Absolutely not. So these two would be out for that. Here, again, I'm looking at the size of these things, and they're not squares, and they're not all the same size. Okay? Whereas F would be the other one. Okay? The yellow, definitely A and E. It's kind of color coded for us anyway. But you can see how it would be folded around to get that. Okay? Now you can see what they did here is they're doing some crazy stuff. I think they took this thing and they tipped it on its side, is what it looks like to me. And then they referred to what is the left side right there. This would be left side, is kind of what I'm looking at. And then the top, and then that. So I think that's kind of where that comes from. But you guys are going to get the picture on how to recognize these very easy. It just takes a lot of practice, okay? And then the triangular pyramid, you can see what they did here. We have two with triangles, so we know that there's only one thing with triangles. So could this be it, first of all? Looks like it. This one here, it's like they took it and they sat it up on this, what we're looking at right there, what's right in front of us. And they're sitting that right there, maybe call that the front. And then they unfolded. That could definitely be one for that too. Okay, hang on one second. Okay, sorry about that. I don't even know where I was. Anyway, I think you guys are getting the picture. It's one of those things you really just got to do it. And I think if we get paper and we start kind of folding these things up, it's gonna be a lot more apparent on what's what, because it's a visual thing, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard for me, and I think it's amazing how some of you were actually able to do pretty well with it. Okay, there's another page of notes here, but since this video is actually already running pretty long, we'll get it figured out on Monday. So I will see you guys. Have a good weekend.